I be the S-O-U to the fucking 12th letter. Never change style just so I could sell better. Been a lot of things, but a fool ain't one. Got a food chain gun in the woods.
Who do you listen to that we would just like completely not expect?
Adolf Hitler. No, who's on here? I've been listening to the soundtracks from the TV show Ghost in the Shell standalone complex a lot.
Didn't see that one.
Seasons 1 through 3. Final Fantasy music, but you probably see that coming. Daft Punk album, the new one on repeat. John Coltrane is always on my phone.
Yeah, no,
constantly.
we're talking about Coltrane.
Cause he's always on my phone. He has been a Coltrane record has been on my whatever preferred my iPod, iPhone every single day forever since I started having those devices.
Right.
John Coltrane to me is really like the pit of the stomach and like the highest hope. Like he really just gets into like all the he hits all the emotional registers for me that like, and this will sound weird, Bjork does. You know, like just gets like are you longing? You have never longed for something until you listen to like Coltrane. Do you love something? You know, in a sentimental mood. You know, like you got all these like. That's why I named everything after, my EPs after the Love Supreme. And I sort of matched them emotionally to the best of my ability, kind of roughly.
That's what you were going for, though.
Yeah, trying to that was sort of after the fact. Coltrane's amazing. Miles Davis is amazing. Lee Morgan, really important to me, jazz-wise. The song Melancholy by Lee Morgan, that's one of my favorite songs. I like jazz that allows me to feel, and music in general, but jazz especially is really helpful. Music that allows me to sort of, be unhappy. Be happy with being unhappy, rather. It sort of give, like, jazz is important to me because it allows me a space where I can feel like an emotion, like sorrow or longing or grief, but not feel like it's the end of the world. To feel like it's a stage in life rather than the end all be all. Some people listen to some music like it just deepens their mood and it worsens it. Like I'm sad and this music's gonna make me miserable. That's dangerous sometimes. Or I'm angry and this is getting me pumped up enough to go beat up a stranger. Like that maybe is a little much. Whereas someone like a Coltrane or a Lee Morgan can help me be like, I'm depressed, but it's not the end of everything. That's the important thing music can do. That was actually, the song was conceptually going to be that. It was going to be 4 songs that represented different aspects of life, but not through my eyes, because musicians have this weird burden on us sometimes, especially hip-hop musicians. Weird burden of like, yo, tell your story. Why? No one was like, all right, John Steinbeck. There's a really cool thing about the Dust Bowl and about pearl fishermen. Let's hear John. Let's see John through John Steinbeck's eyes. No more of this great American novel stuff. Why can't you even rock musicians get to make, the Decemberists get to write about whatever they want. What is it? The Weakerthans wrote about a cat through the eyes of a cat. Why can't I do that? I don't want to pretend, maybe my cats are pretty cool, but pretty dope song about our cats. I think Aesop, what's funny? Aesop Rock made a really dope song on his last album. It's like a long-form story though, about I think it's like a basset hound saving a little girl from a pool. And hearing that, I was like, wow, that's like one of the coolest, and it was executed flawlessly. Amazing, beautiful description of the scene, built up in this way that almost felt like you were there. And I was like, wow, you could do this. Someone could do this. As long as it's not lazy, as long as it's not here's the story of a basset hound saved a girl that almost drowned. Like, it wasn't like that. Like, it wasn't that, you know? I feel like some people get super lazy with storytelling rap or like conceptual material because like, yeah, but there's a message, so the style of it can be dog shit. It's just like, no, like, that ain't it. That's not, you can't let the substance bear the weight of it. The style's got to be there too.
I
But
agree.
people are like, style, you just consider yourself a style or substance rapper. I was like, what the fuck, do you wear shoes or pants? I don't know. Like, I think I'm gonna go with both today. You know, my feet can use some coverage and no one has to see my genitals outside. Like, well, we'll hit both of those compelling needs. Like, if I try to tell it, like, I'm gonna tell the story of like a woman going through life. Already I hit a wall because there's so many men who are unwilling to like suspend their I am a man, therefore I can only listen to a man's story thing. That's you know, that's, and I mean, and I was talking to my wife about this with video games the other day about like Grand Theft Auto. Like, women have to always be like, I have to, if I want to get into this world and enjoy this, I have to do it through the eyes of a male protagonist that do all the time. Men don't have to do that ever. So that's, so you're right, like that's one reason I didn't do something like that. And also, you know, I'm always a little tricky. Like on the song "Morning Alone," I felt it weird, and it was a little tough because I was writing about an old woman,
Right.
and I didn't want it because there's the social problem of speaking for others in art when you don't have the qualification to do so. But I tried to not make it about womanhood. Not to say that you can take gender out of a narrative just because you want to, but it was more about grief, and grief from one person to another, or for another. I sit down and I get really angry at myself at not being able to write for about several days, and then I just kind of just like squeeze it out stubbornly, because I don't know, because a lot of it has to do with knowing that I have to go record it. I hate recording. I love performing and I hate recording. Why? Because you can't see people's reactions when you're recording, and you have to hear like what's clearly not going to be the finished product back to yourself.
Is that why do you record by yourself? Or do
I
you-
record at home. Man, you would think that I was a maniac if you heard the horrible things I screamed at myself and at my vocal booth while I'm fucking up. I'm just like, oh gosh, so like, I'm like, you know, if you just like mic'd it, if you just sat like outside my apartment door when I'm trying to record, you just be like, oh, fucking great job, big nose. Like, you know, like just like deriding myself. Like, oh, I fucking failed again. Like, it's a mess.
Do you?
Greatest and most misleading and unhelpful myth is the self-made man. It doesn't, in any field, it doesn't exist. No one can be like, I did this myself. We did this just bootstraps, grassroots. Everyone has a partner, everyone has a supporter, everyone has a team. Just accomplish something. It's not, you know, we're not like these infinitely capable chimeras that can do anything at all times with any, you know, it's not a human being.
I wake up with the brush of my busted teeth. They wanted these lucky luxuries. Now I wake up whenever it comforts me. Sit down on the train on the dusty seat. Into the city where they hustle cheap just to eat a most supple meat.